Okay, we have started recording. I will share my screen and we will make a start. Now, nearly there. Okay, which screen can you all see? The individual one or the double one? Heather, can you at least tell me?
Yep, just a single one, the front page.
Great, thank you. Thanks,
Yep.
Heather.
No worries.
Okay, I will make a start. So thank you for sharing this time with me. I do appreciate your time because one of the most valuable things we have in life is time these days. So what I wanted to share today was a little snippet of what I talk about in the whole scheme of things when we talk about getting our head around and our ability around money and the management of money. So I'm going to get straight into it. Disclaimer as usual, which basically means that this is not specific advice. This is general in nature. A little bit about me, which I don't normally do my own intros, but for those of you who don't know me that well, for those of you who do, my career started as an accountant. So I am part of the Sofra Partners Chartered Accounting Group. We've been here for 25 years now. And then I went on to become a financial planner, and that was 20 years ago. So I had the team at Softcorp Wealth in terms of traditional financial planning. But over and above that, my greatest passion is to connect with women just like you. And so 6 years ago, I created Wow Women Group. It's a network-based group where we connect. And as a result of COVID, we have gone completely online. I do miss you all, and I do miss all of our drinks and our dinners, and particularly our one-day event that we weren't able to do. But look, this is better than nothing. So we have been presenting a monthly webinar. Last month was Rachel Willis. She's absolutely brilliant. She is our resident psychologist, if you like, one of our founding members of WOW. I am taking this month, next month, Jackie Broman. Don't miss that one. She's absolutely incredible. She is our resident legal eagle. And then the one past that will be Kim O'Keefe, who is a previous mayor and also on council. So she's going to share her personal story, and that's going to be incredibly powerful. So yeah, as I mentioned, 25 years in business, 30 years in the industry. From a managing money point of view with my clients, probably more than that. This was written quite a number of years ago, 80 million in management. What that means is I look after that amount of money for all my client base. I also do a lot of business coaching and mentoring and personal mentoring with clients that I've found are reaching out from that perspective, particularly business women who want to advance their businesses or start up their businesses. Few awards there over the years with the business awards in my local community, and on a national level, Financial Planner of the Year in 2017 with the Women in Financial Services Awards. I have published Finding Financial Freedom, and I live to empower women in every sense of the word, just like you. My skill set is money and finances, but I'm about to share with you how that impacts the rest of your life. So enough about me. I love this quote, and I wanted to share it with you, and I share it with as many people as I can. And this is the image I found to be able to, so I try and keep my slides simple because I don't like a lot of words. Life is not about waiting for the winds to change, yeah? Life is about learning to adjust your sails. And what I mean by that is that we cannot no longer wait for this to happen. We need to take the bull by the horns, and we need to do this for ourselves, because there's so much rhetoric around there saying, look, it's the government's responsibility, you know, how can I do things on my own? But I think we need to stop playing a passive game. I really do believe that we as women need to step up, take responsibility for what we want and go for it ourselves, because really today it is a dangerous game waiting for things to change. So getting in the driver's seat is absolutely essential. And, you know, for me, I when I cannot sleep, I take a lot of time in my own space thinking about things. And I often ask myself questions like, how can I make the women that I come into contact with feel absolutely amazing about themselves? How can I break those barriers? How can I, as one person, shift the mind blocks of the women that I work with and the women that I see every single day of my life for the last 30 years? And how can I help you see yourself and the world through a different lens? And how can I fill you with so much hope? These are the questions I ask myself. With so much hope and excitement that you can't sleep at night. And I try and do that through encouraging, through showing, and through educating as much as I can. And, you know, I just want you to think about this. I do get a lot of people saying money doesn't make you happy. I think it's a cop-out. It's not about money itself. It's about achieving that happiness. And you know what? Without money, you can't actually achieve anything you want in life, because everything you go to do, everything you touch and feel requires an economic return for it. And it's called money. So money is the tool that we use to get what we want. But we can't get what we want if we don't know how to use the tool in the first place, which is money. So I'm just trying to break that down from the perspective of, don't do the cop-out thing, money doesn't make you happy, because that's bullshit. Because happiness is bought with money by being able to do the things that you want to do in life. Sending your kids to school. I've got a client who her sole goal in her network marketing business is to send her 3 kids to private school, which is going to cost anywhere between $300,000 to $400,000. That is her values. So I'll talk about values in a minute, but that is her goal. That is what's going to make her happy. Is there an economic requirement for that? Absolutely. It's called money. If she doesn't know how to use that tool, how is she going to achieve that goal that's going to make her happy and her family happy? So if you can see the flow on from that, this is where I come from. And today we're going to talk about a little snippet of that, which is the money mind games, which is the starting point. Without this, nothing else matters, really, the bottom line. All the skills in the world and all the knowledge isn't going to get you anywhere, because if you don't change your mindset and the way that you see money, and go back to your own history of money, you really can't step forward. So your money is the key to something really precious, right? Something we've been fighting for generations, ladies. It's about power, control, and freedom. And money is about power and control. Make no mistake about that. Unfortunately, domestic work at home is still not recognised, and it is still not rewarded in any way, shape, or form. So having the ability to go out and earn an income does represent a form of power and does represent a form of control and the absolute freedom to make the choices and the decisions that we want. So enough of that. I could talk about that forever and a day, but let me move on to letting you know that how does financial independence impact the rest of your life, the other areas of your life? Working with women over the last 30 years, let me tell you, there is a domino effect that when you get yourself all over your financial life, when you unlock that financial confidence, it just about unlocks every other part of your life. And I wanted to show it in, we look at these circle of life, if you like, where we've got our physical health, we've got our personal social well-being, we've got the career and the work, we've got family, spirituality, of course, the intellect and the mind. When you unlock your financial confidence, it unlocks the confidence in every part of your life, because it's a journey, it's a process. And all of a sudden, when you get one win and then another win leads to another win, and there are going to be times when you're going to hit ball. I have 100 times over. Have I given up? Absolutely not. Because you don't do that in life, right? You don't do that in any other part of your life. So why should you do it here? And you work through those blocks, and you have some wins and some losses, but you continue down the path. And what you don't notice as you're going through this journey is how much you change as a person, how much you grow, how much confidence it builds when you get those wins, when you learn from those roadblocks. And then what happens is that growth that comes through all of those experiences in your financial life just ripple all the way through your other parts of your life. And you will see a change in you as a person. So make no mistake about this. Your financial independence and the ability to get your confidence around that impacts every other part of your life. So with that said, money mastery. I talk about money mastery all of the time. And after 30 years of dealing in this space between accounting and financial planning, I have split it into 3 pillars. And I'm going to only talk about the 1 pillar today because that's all we've got time for. And really, to do it justice and for you to get the maximum out of it, I didn't want to skim through everything. I thought, let's talk about money mindset for this particular session. So money mastery in its simple form is about getting the headspace right, the mindset. Then we talk about the skill set, the skills you need, the basic knowledge that you need to overcome that lack of confidence, to overcome that confusion, and to get clarity. And finally, you get the right mindset, you get the right skill set. You actually got to do something, right? Without action, nothing happens. And that's where the action set comes in. So those 3 pillars are key for you to be able to then master your money and start your own financial journey. And as I say, there's going to be roadblocks and there's going to be some wins, but that's all part of the process and it's all part of the fun, and it's life. Nothing is perfect. If you're looking for perfection, you'll never actually do anything. So jumping right into the money mindset. This is the money mind games that I'm talking about. 3-step process. What we've got to do is we've got to go back in order to go forward. What do I mean by that? So having a look at your past. Your past is what I talk about, your money stories. We've got to go back, ladies, in order to understand where we come from, what makes us tick, and why we're making the decisions about our money that we're making today subconsciously without even knowing we're doing it. We then move on to our present, which means, well, who am I today? Yeah, I'm all grown up, not at mum and dad's anymore. I'm not in that household that we all grew up in. I am my own person. Who am I today? Who am I? What are my not negotiables? What do I stand for? It talks about understanding your values as a person. And then your future. Well, the future is your financial independence, your financial freedom, when you align those 2 things. When you align your past with your present, when you're able to look at those 2 things and go, oh my goodness, I come from here, but this is what's important to me today. How do I align this behavior, if I'm still exhibiting this behavior, with what's important to me today to be able to get what I want moving forward from this point on? So this is exactly what we're going to cover right now. So let me jump into your past. Let me share myself with you first. This is what I looked like in my early adult life a lot of the time. I know it's funny, but it wasn't really funny at the time. I can look back and say it was funny now. My financial blueprint, if you like, my money stories. I come from a family where we lived from paycheck to paycheck. There were no savings. There was credit cards for discretionary spending, and there was loans that were used to be able to purchase cars and so on. So a lot of the time it was, oh my God, there's not enough money left. This is my financial blueprint. This is where I come from, and it's incredibly powerful to know those things. And I'm going to help you achieve those things, hopefully with the amount of time that we've got today. I'm going to walk you through some questions. And what that did for me was I guess I just did it subconsciously without even thinking about it. That was my emotional stories. That is my past. And so where that led me to one day was that I enjoyed the discretionary spending so much so that I had a boot full of Shoes, may I add. I still love my shoes, but I don't do it unconsciously. I do it very well controlled, if you like, where I had a flat tire, and when I lifted the boot to have a look at where the spare was, there was a boot full of shoes. So needless to say, I had to, just going to let someone else in. Needless to say, I had to simply adjust my financial blueprint where I had come from to be able to achieve what I wanted for my future. So let's start, ladies. I need you to take a breath and almost be in a calm state of mind where you are able to digest and think about the next lot of questions I'm about to ask you and share with you. I'm just wanting to bear with me. Okay. Just want to make that a lot smaller if I can. So your past, let's start with your past, because remember, we were here. So we're looking at your past, your emotional stories. Everyone got a pen and a bit of paper? If you don't, now's the time to grab one, because I'm going to take you through this exercise. And in the interest of time, I want to make sure that I'm not going over time with anyone. So we do have a fair bit of time to get through. So what I want to do is I want to allow you to work out what your connection is to money and where you come from with money. And I'm going to help you identify the significant childhood events around money. So what I want you to do is think about this. Recall and write down the money conversations that happened in your family. For example, pocket money and allowances. Was that ever discussed? Arguments around money. Who made the financial decisions in your family? How were you taught the value of things? When you first had your own money, and so on. So I want you to recall and write this down, even in dot point, just brain dump it. Try not to think about it too much. The conversations in your family around money. So pocket money, arguments. Who made the financial decisions? What were you taught about the value of things when you first had money? And so on. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes on that. I'll put my timer on. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes on that. Okay, go. Got about a minute left. Remember, this is a simple brain dump, and it's just to get the juices flowing so you can get some, hopefully, an epiphany within the next half hour. Someone's not muted. Can I just ask everyone that checks that they're on mute, please? Thank you.
You can mute everyone too, being the host.
Yeah, I've just taken everyone to the side so I could see what I was doing. Okay, let's move on. Now I want you to recall a positive childhood memory around money. So spending on special treats. Oh, spending on special treats. Gifts of money you received. Special occasions when your family spent money, and so on. So I'll give you a couple of minutes for that. This is the positive childhood memories about money. Okay, 20 seconds more. Okay. Now we're going to move on to recalling some negative childhood memories about money. So in the same way, recall and write down your most negative or painful childhood memories about money. So some examples can be not being able to afford things you wanted as a kid, having less money than your friends maybe, being teased about money. Maybe you were one of the kids that had a lot of money and you got teased for being rich. Your parents asking friends and family for money and so on. Like, do you remember anything? And I know it's tough because I did all of these exercises. And that's where I uncovered my financial blueprint. And I had the epiphany and thought, oh my God. I'll talk about that later. I'll give you some quiet time to think about the negative childhood memories that you have about money. Okay, now we're going to bring it all together. So what we've done as a recap is we've identified conversations in the family in general about pocket money and allowances, or arguments about money, who made the decisions, you know, how were you taught about the value of things when you first had money of your own, and so on. Then we went to the positive childhood memories, so spending on special treats, gifts of money you received, special occasions when your family spent money, and so on. Then we went to the negative childhood memories about money, and some examples could be where you couldn't afford things, where you got teased for not having enough, and sometimes teased for having too much. I've worked with clients who have been in that situation as well. And, you know, they were, yeah. And your parents having to ask family and friends for money, or your parents constantly distraught about money. So bringing it all together, we're going to look at patterns that persist in your adult life. So what I want you to do is compare your current money patterns right now. What are you doing now with some of your childhood memories? Can you look at what you wrote down? And are there things that you're doing now that even unintentionally mirror your money patterns from childhood? Like subconsciously, have you written something down and you've gone, oh my God, I'm doing that now? Are there some positive habits worth acknowledging and reinforcing? Or are there some negative behaviors you can stop right now because they aren't serving you? Really interesting exercise to do. And I had my epiphany when I did that. Or are you one of the fortunate ones that it all looks really good? Like it lines up really well. This does require you to be absolutely honest with yourself in terms of what you're doing right now, your current money patterns. What are you doing right now? And it does require, as I say, a whole lot of honesty. And, you know, this is for your eyes only. Nobody is going to be checking what you've written down. Nobody necessarily knows what you're doing, what the reasoning behind whether you're spending or not spending, whether you think you're worthy or not worthy. There is a whole lot of emotion when it comes to money. And people think that it's just money, but it's not. It's actually work. It's actually more about emotion, connection, worthiness, treating yourself, thinking you're entitled, thinking you're not entitled. There's a whole other level laying beneath the surface when we talk about money and our ability to use the medium of money to get what we want. Because as I said at the start, it's simply a tool. And for those that understand how to use it, do very well. And for those who don't know how to use it, don't do very well. And it has nothing to do with the level of income you earn. I can also tell you that through working with thousands of people earning totally different amounts of money. And generally in society, we're taught that if you are high in your profession, I guess I come from the older generation, you know, if you're a doctor or a lawyer or a, you know, those type of people who are obviously intelligent and well-to-do, most people think that they have a lot of money, and that is not always the case. So let me give you a few minutes to do that comparison. Okay. I hope you've had some epiphanies there. I hope some things have sort of stuck out to you. I do want to say this though. I love this. I'm a quote girl. I always say I'm a quote girl. And this is J.K. Rowling's quote. And she says, "There is an expiry date for blaming your parents for steering you in the wrong direction. The moment you're old enough to take the wheel, responsibility lies with you." And I couldn't agree more. And this is, I say this because this is my next point. So to recap, whatever you wrote down is your past. The memories you have about money, the positive, the negative, looking at it and seeing whether you're doing the same thing. That's the past. That's the family you're brought up in. And we all come from families. And families are incredibly powerful. Parents are incredibly powerful people, whether they know it or not. And generally speaking, and I emphasize the word generally. So if you come from a family of spenders, you generally will be a spender, like me. If you generally come from a family of savers, more than likely you'll head down that path. A couple of things can change that course for you. And it will definitely be things like me. I came into a profession purely by accident, into accounting and financial planning, which is all about money. So all of a sudden, I had this knowledge and this expertise that kind of shifted my mindset. But the biggest influence for me was that I met someone and married someone, my husband, that has a totally different financial blueprint to me. So he comes from money and he understands money. And therefore, those two influences have had a great impact in my life. So it can change depending on what happens in your life. And just on partnering with someone else, you want to get diabolical around money, that even gets to another level. Because what you do in a relationship is you come from one family, and we've just discovered, I'm hoping you've just unearthed all of this from your family and where you come from. And, you know, for me, without question, I took my financial blueprint and went into my early adult working life without question, business as usual, away we went. Why should I question it? Money's a skill that's not taught, right? So I just went along my merry way until these episodes happened in my life for me to go, oh, wow, what am I doing? So it's incredibly powerful to be able to stop and do what we've just done and question what is actually going on, where you actually come from. But as I mentioned, when we partner with someone else, then we've got another set of rules. Generally, what I've found over the years is we tend to attract people that come from different financial blueprints to us. You know, they say opposites attract, but that's again another generalization. So if you come from a family of savers and you're really, really good with money, and your husband comes from a family that just doesn't get it and spend every cent that they've got, it's a challenge. And it's a challenge, and it is a huge financial stress that a lot of couples go through. So trying to align that is incredibly important as well. Having the conversations around that is incredibly important, because it's not going to go away on its own. You have to address these issues. You have to sit down together and own up to it and say, hey, this is where I'm at, this is where I come from, this is where I'm at, this is where I come from. But guess what? We've partnered together. So what are we going to do about it now? So it's a whole other conversation and a whole other direction around what I'm talking about here. I don't focus on it much in this particular webinar, but I do work with people in this area to try and align that, get the stress out of it, and help that family progress forward in achieving what they want to achieve and keeping everyone happy. So from your past, let's go on to our next step. Okay, so we've just covered the past, the emotional stories, yeah? We are about to, so we know where we come from. I'm hoping we've had an epiphany. You know, the positives, the negatives. Have you been able to work out, are you still doing that now? Is that the behavior you're still exhibiting now in your adult life? Now it's time to have a look at who you are today. As J.K. Rowling said, we can't keep blaming the past. We're all grown up now. We get to choose. We get to decide who we are. Yeah? So how do we do that in terms of being able to nail it and document it. Well, it's called a values exercise, right? A values exercise is incredibly powerful it's not a set and forget, but it is certainly a point in time where we get to understand who we are. Who are you? What do you stand for? What are your not negotiables? What do you want for yourself, your family, and for your future? What do you want for your life? What is it that you will not give up on when the crunch comes? When the tough decisions come, it's your values that decide which decision you're going to make. It's the underlying values which decide, irrespective of how good or bad an opportunity may be, that's the deciding factor in which you will make the next decision about your life. And it comes from your values. It comes from what's important to you. So a lot of the time, I do also experience this. This is too many people, this is another quote, spend money. I'm sure you've heard of this. Too many people spend money they haven't earned, they haven't made it yet, to buy things they don't need to impress people they don't like. And I would suggest these days, with the invention of this thing here and social media, it's at its highest peak. It is incredibly enticing, incredibly deceptive. People showing all their shiny stuff. And let me tell you, from where I sit, again, 30 years advising people, not all that shines is gold. And what I mean by that is success is not necessarily the shiny house, the shiny car, and the shiny clothes. If you dig beneath the surface, for most people that look like that, there's really not a lot beneath the surface. Wealth is a totally different thing. So don't be fooled, don't be sidetracked, don't be digressed. And how do you do that? If you can nail who you are at your core, and what I mean by that is, coming back to this, who are you at your core? It will also not only help you understand whether your past, your emotional stories are getting in the way of you achieving what you value in life today, but it will also give you the ability to stand strong in your own space and say, you know what, this is who I am. This is what's important to me. I'm not going to be sidetracked like a 15-year-old chasing the next best thing. I'm a grown-up now. I'm okay. I'm okay to say, this is where I stand with this. I don't need to be accepted. I don't need to be one of the shiny people on social media. So that is called a values assessment. Who are you now, and what are your adult values? Simply put, so this is your present. So now I want you to think about, we went back. Now I want you to think about, who am I now? Who am I? And, you know, let me tell you, this is the weirdest thing when I did all of this. You'd think by a certain age, like, you know, when you're going through your young teenage years and then you're 18, 19, 20, and you're still kind of, depends on everyone's journey, but, you know, you're trying to find yourself, right? You'd think after 30, 40, 50, you'd know who the hell you are, wouldn't you? Nothing could be further from the truth. It's tough. It's tough knowing who you are sometimes. And it's not until you do these things. And look, I'm going to talk about this later in my presentation, but this is exactly what I cover off in my programs. We do a values assessment in order to understand who we are. A values assessment, I suggest you do it at least once every 12 months. It reiterates who you are each time. Sometimes it could change. We are human. We're not objects. We're shaping, we're evolving, we're growing, as I said to you, throughout our journey of life. I mean, I used to be a destination girl, right? I soon found out that there is no destination. It's a simple journey. But, you know, that's my math science background, right? Destination. But, you know, I'm growing, I'm evolving, and I'm keeping myself open to the fact that I am human, and certain things may change. But I recently just did another values assessment, and you know what? The things that, and I love it. You know why I love it? Because it allows me to know the decisions that I'm making are the right decisions because they connect back to my values. So sometimes you've got the brain going, Trace, don't be silly. You know, this could be a great opportunity, da, 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 da. But the gut's going, no, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel, you know what the gut is? The gut is that. The gut is the values piece. The gut is the stuff that is knocking on the door going, don't do it. And you've got to listen to it. But unless you know what those values are, again, you're going to be sidetracked. And I know there's no perfect path in life, but gee, it helps knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what your not negotiables are. Your absolutions. I love them and I live by them. So I've got them in my diary. I think I shared it on Facebook. I got them in my diary and I did a different one. There's so many out there and I'm so open to all of them. I'm going to quickly show you these. It was a different one that I did. And here's what came up. Loyalty, integrity, respect, financial independence, love. It's true. All you need is love. It's not enough of it. Freedom. They're my top. How many is that? 2, 4, 6. The exercise obviously asked me to do 6. Absolutely brilliant. And that particular exercise got me to write it down. And I found that quite interesting to do, a different way of doing it. So you must do a values assessment. They're online. There's 1,000,001 of them. Find one. Do one. Do yourself a favour. Do it. Do it every 12 months. Narrow it down to 5, 6, not too many. Usually they go from, go for broke type thing, and then cut it down, top 10, top 5, and then lay them out, have them in front of you, keep them with you, document whatever you've got to do. They will keep you on your path because it's about you. It's not about anyone else. When you know what that is, so I'll give you an example of mine, financial independence, freedom. Freedom for me is having the ability to live the way I want with choice. And I can't have that without money. So I told you, blueprint. It's really important for me to be able to have financial independence. And as I grow older, to have that independence going into my older age. So I've got a question for you. Do you think that with what I was doing, living paycheck to paycheck, no savings, credit cards, debt, was going to give me what I want and what's important to me? I just shared them with you. Do you think that behavior was going to give me what's important to me today in my adult life? Absolutely not. Going down that path was a road to disaster. And the minute I uncovered that and did the values, I went, oh my God, literally. And you'd think you'd know, wouldn't you? But some things are in the subconscious. Life is busy. I mean, who sits down and does this stuff, right? We're just going from one thing to the other. And as women, how many balls have we got in the air at any one time, girls? At a guess? Constantly, isn't it? Lack of time, lack of knowledge around this stuff, lack of clarity, lack of confidence. That's a biggie. That really does my head in, because I believe we are taught that we are not good at this stuff. Society, it's a whole other conversation, but it's ingrained in history, it's ingrained in society, it's ingrained in culture. One day someone will come and rescue me. Nothing could be more dangerous, given, as women where we are today. We've got the utmost freedom that only our mothers and grandmothers could dream about. We just need to take the last step, which is the final frontier, I say, the independence that we need with our own money, our ability to make our own decisions, knowing that we are good enough, we are worthy enough, we are smart enough. Yes, there's a lot going on, and it's almost like, you want me to do one more thing? Yes, I do, because that's the most important thing you should be doing. Put the bloody groceries aside and the shopping aside, get all over your money, because that's the thing that's going to make the difference for you. So, past and present, are we okay? And when we look at those two things, that's going to set it off for you. You're going to know straight away whether you need to realign the behavior that you're exhibiting. Now, you might be one of the incredibly fortunate ones and you might be A-okay. That's fantastic. And what does that do? It just confirms that you're on the right track. And who doesn't need confirmation these days? Who doesn't need acknowledgement to go, you're okay, Jessie, you're okay, Heather, you're okay, Michelle, you're okay, everybody, yeah? But if you're not, you know what needs to happen. All I'm saying is that we need to align your behavior, if you're still exhibiting that, with your values today as an adult. We can't keep blaming our parents. We've got to be all over it and take responsibility for ourselves. That's all I'm saying. Once you align those two things, that's the future. That is your ability to change your future. And money mindset is about all of this. And as I said at the start, the skills, there's no point in having any skills if you don't know how to implement it. If you're going to continue to make the same mistakes, it just means you've got knowledge, but you can't implement that knowledge because you're continuously going to make the same mistakes over and over again because you're actually not aware of what you're doing. You've got to uncover this uncomfortable stuff, accept it for what it is, get rid of the shame. There's no shame in this. There's no fault in this. There's no judgment in this. It's just about owning up, being adult enough, stepping up and going, hey, yeah, this is where I come from. Yep, it's ugly, but it is what it is. If I could come forward as an expert in money and own up to mine publicly, I'm sure everyone can own up to theirs in their own space. I'm not asking you to share it with anyone, but admit it to yourself, take responsibility, understand who you are, what makes you tick, what's it look like, what's the dream life look like, and is it what you're doing going to get you there? And if it's not, change it. Only you can do that. You've got the control. And so having done that and having said that, let's move into the future. Let's make the right decisions. Now, talking about the future, I often say this, am I cured, so to speak? No, of course not. My financial blueprint will always be with me. What I do is I know how to manage it. I know it exists. I know what's important to me. And here's what I do to manage that. This is just one of the things that I do. Critical questions to ask yourself. Yeah? So let's say we're aligning the behavior. We know what's important to us. We know where we come from. Why do I want to buy these items? Why? So there's always an underlying emotion, right? I know what my emotions are. I know what's making them trigger. How do I make spending decisions? Am I actively engaged or passive or reactive? Do I go online shopping because it makes me feel good because I'm feeling down at the moment? Can I afford to do that? Should I be doing that? What's the opportunity cost of me spending $500 on some shoes and a new jacket? The opportunity cost is that $500 could be doing some great stuff for you somewhere else. And when I say this, please don't misunderstand me. There are opportunities to spend on yourself, without a doubt. I am not a believer in accumulating so much wealth in your old age that you haven't enjoyed your life now, in the here and now. And then you've got all this stuff when you're older, but you're too old to look good in any of them. Let's face it, who wants high heels when they're too old to bloody wear them? But you got a great, retirement. And again, retirement is another word that I don't like using because it's changed. The world's changed. We just want choice, right? No one really retires these days. Everyone chooses to live differently. It might be, look, I love what I do. I just want to do it 3 days a week, or I want to do it remotely, or, whatever that may be. I want to now do the volunteer work I've always wanted to do. How do you do that if you haven't got enough money? How do you do that if you continuously got to go to work and earn a living? If you haven't spent your years now in putting a little bit aside. So it's about managing that. And trust me, you can do it. It is possible. I'm living proof it's possible. But it's important to stop yourself and just do this each time. Oh, what are you doing, Trace? Let me think about that. How important is that? And again, having said that, we are human. There are going to be moments where we're going to make the wrong decision. That's okay. I don't want you to panic about that. The most important thing in all of this is to be aware. It's the awareness piece. And continuously go back. You've unearthed the past. Do your values every year. Know who you are. Don't get sidetracked by the fluffy, shiny stuff. Don't try and keep up with the Joneses. You can't do that. It doesn't work. And if that's what you want to do, you need to come into yourself a little bit more. I would suggest more deep work within to understand why you want that. Why do you actually want that? It's probably alarm bells that something else is going on. And finally, a third decision, does my decision making help me or hurt me? Yeah. Short-term gain, short-term focus, I guess. Feel good now. You know, we do live in that society. Give it to me now. Give it to me now. Don't worry about it. You know, no risk. I want it now. I want everything to be fluffy now. And I won't worry about the future. That'll just come. Or is it going to hurt me? Because we do live in an instant gratification society. I come from a generation that we did have to wait for things. We had lay-by. Anyone, put your hand up. Who remembers lay-by? It's called afterpay now. Yeah, you get it now. But lay-by, you had to wait, didn't you? You had to wait, and you had to pay it off and all that sort of stuff, right? So, look, I get it. I'm human. I'm not sitting here for 1 minute preaching to say I'm perfect. Way from it. I mean, so far from it. Self-awareness, self-management. Keep your eye on the prize. Live your life the way you want today. And live it in a way that gives you the peace of mind to know, hey, I've got some strategies in place that the future's going to be good. And I also got enough money to enjoy myself while I look good, I'm young, and I can wear those high heels, or I can wear that jacket and I look amazing, or I can do that for my kids, or I can have that holiday and take the family away, or I can afford to donate to the charities that I so believe in. Whatever floats your boat, whatever it is, yeah? I can help my parents. I can help my sister who needs a little bit more help. Whatever it is, having the ability to do that, but knowing that your future's taken care of as well. You shouldn't have to forsake one for the other. It works well together all the time. It can, but self-awareness is the piece. So that is the main part that I wanted to go over with you. If I can just quickly go back, I should have put that slide in again. Quickly go back. This is the money mindset. This is the money mind games that we play on ourselves. Money mind games, incredibly powerful of what the mind can do and how we can talk ourselves into things. But self-awareness is the most important thing. Take control of yourself. Don't be sidetracked by what you see with others, and take your own life into your own hands by going back and uncovering your money past, your emotional stories, your money values, which is your assessment of who you are today. Aligning those two to give you what you want in the future, to give you the choice, the freedom of choice to live the way that you want on your terms, because you have the economic power to do that, because you've been able to do this throughout your working life. This is where it all starts. This is the most powerful piece of any equation. And then asking yourself these questions each time your gut will tell you, once you go through this, you know, here's the thing. Once you do this, you'll never be able to go back. So I'm sorry to open the hornet's nest, but you'll never be able to go back. You'll forever be doing, oh, should I be doing this? Should I? And that's a great thing. That means you've been open to it, and that means you're thinking about the next lot of steps, and you will never change because you've already gone forward. With that said, the whole thing that I teach is called money mastery, and it is those three pillars, and it starts with the mindset. Without the mindset, none of it's any good to you. You've got to start there. As we know, everything starts in the mind, ladies, does it not? We've got to get this under control. This is the hardest thing to manage by far. And once we are able to manage our minds and get our minds clear, we can then get the skills. The skills are not that complicated, I promise you. I will make that bold promise to you today, without a doubt. It is simple. It is not overly complicated. The industry, the media, all sorts of people overcomplicate it. It is very, very simple, tried and true methods that will get you there. Don't be sidetracked by the testosterone-fueled rhetoric around money and all the stuff that goes with it. Nothing could be further from the truth. I've been doing this for 30 years. And I've been doing it not only teaching in my programs with clients for 30 years, but my own self, my own financial independence, my own money, my own investments. And finally, all the mindset and the skill set won't get you anywhere if you don't actually take a step forward. We just got to do it. Just got to take that first leap. Got to action. We've got to do stuff to make it happen. Yes, there can be a little bit of hesitation. Yes, there's fear. I get it. There's fear in everything. But do it scared. Don't let fear hold you back, because holding back means that you will never take a step forward. And you're better off hitting roadblocks and learning and getting up and doing it again than never doing it. So money mastery is about those 3 pillars. My question to you is, I do have a big question for you. This is my genius zone that I speak about. It is, I guess it's my calling. And if I had more time, I'll tell you what my past was and how I ended up here. Yes, accounting and financial planning chose me. I did not choose it. But I love helping women achieve financial independence. And a lot of that comes from a lot of personal coaching and mentoring as well around so many other aspects. So it's not always just about the money. It is so much more about the individual and building up the confidence and the clarity of who you are, what you stand for. You know, who am I? What do I want? And why do I want it? So my big question to you is, would you like me to show you how the entire process works of following the financial freedom, of being able to achieve this for you as well, following the path that I've followed? And if your answer is yes, this is only the tip of the iceberg in terms of the money mindset, yeah? It has the other 3 pillars, as I've mentioned, but I believe no one should go it alone. No one should have to do this on their own. It's like women in business that join mastermind groups because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. How powerful is it to join a mastermind group of other business women that have done it before you? So if I hit a roadblock and I want to know what the best way to set up my website and do X, Y, and Z is, that somebody else has done it before me, and they say, Trace, I've got it. I've done it, and I've made all these mistakes doing it. Let me share it with you. I'll be like, oh my God, thank you so much. Because it's so hard to find it yourself, yeah? So I truly believe that no one should go it alone when it comes to building wealth, like I did when I started. So if you would like me to help you as you conquer this money mindset, I guess, and even think about the money skill set and move on, I have the tools, the roadmaps, the resources, the whole lot. I have the whole program, which is really based around, and I've delivered this program since 2000. I launched in 2015, but what I am doing now and have been trying to work on in amongst running my everyday business, I guess, or 2 businesses, is I want to reach as many women as possible, because I really want, well, I guess my greatest belief is that women should live fearlessly. They should live without compromise. They should live the way they want to. How do I do that? One-on-one or in smaller groups. So I want to be able to get it online, and I want to be able to reach as many women as I possibly can. So I thought, why don't I give it a crack online live and teach that first module live? And I only thought of this, I guess, last night, like around 5 o'clock, to say, hey, let me just launch it to this group, see if they're interested. Might not be now, it could be later. Let it sit with you. I'll go through it with you quickly. So I have launched it in 2015. I wrote the book off the back of that and have done it in retreats, workshops and groups and all sorts of things. And some of you, I know Kylie, I can't see you, but Kylie was one of the first ones that did it in 2015. It has evolved a bit, Kylie. Thank you, Kylie. So you can do it faster. You can cut through the stuff, because I've already made the mistakes for you, and I'm ready to share with you how that would look. So let me know in the chat if you want me to go over more details, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. So online program, live. So I'm thinking of going live, and the live would be once a week. So it's a 4-week program. What do you get? 4 weeks live commencing in August. So it would be of an evening. I think that's probably the easiest time where people can get on. I'm thinking something around 7 to 8:30, about an hour and a half. And I'm also looking at doing the weekly Q&As. Ask me anything. Open forum. Doesn't have to be preset. Let's just go for it. Ask me anything. Facebook groups are a given with things like this, where you get into the group and you share your journey and you support each other, and there's questions, and if I need to intervene in those questions and set you on the right path, I would do that. Copy of my book, which is your greatest resource. And I am also working on building a membership site a group of women, a tribe, if you, and you would become one of the founding members of that, where you'd get discounted membership for life, simply because you'd be one of the founders. What does the program look like? Okay, so week one is I talk about status quo, and I really want to understand where you're coming from. And again, you think these questions would be really, really simple. They're not as simple as they look. Who are you? What do you want, and why do you want it? And I'm talking about who are you, not who are you in your job or your mum or your title, or who are you at your core. This was incredibly uncomfortable for someone like me that wears their armor and does their thing. But yeah, and still, I've got to be honest, still I'm uncovering that part of myself. I don't think we as women spend a lot of time. I know we don't spend a lot of time, but we are so many things to so many people, yeah? And we are innately caregivers, and we innately, some more than others, you know, again, I'm generalizing, but some more than others, and we innately look after others first and foremost before ourselves. And, you know, that can be a good thing and sometimes a bad thing. But who are you at your core? Have you ever asked yourself that question? And what do you want? Like, here's a question, right? What do you want? I remember someone said to me, what do you want? And I went, hardest question to answer. You can answer what don't you want. Oh, I don't want to. Hang on. What do you actually want? I found it extraordinarily hard. What do you want? And, you know, why do you want it? And this is okay. It's okay to be selfish. Just say it. Say it. It's okay. Again, I think we're taught, whether it's taught or we're conditioned or it's society or it's culture, I don't know what it is. But it's almost like, don't be so selfish. How dare you say what you want and why do you want it, and all of that sort of stuff, you know. So we're mums, we're sisters, you know, we're colleagues, we're partners, wives, or whatever you want to call it. We're all sorts of things to all sorts of people, and we're there for everyone, but dare I mention you. So week one goes through all of that sort of stuff, really deep, really involved. I've got to say there's tears. In small groups, I've gone through this, and there's tears, and it's beautiful. Beautiful because it's a non-judgmental space. It's an absolute safe, no judgment, beautiful space for everyone to be in. Week two, we're going to move on to a deeper version of your emotional stories and your financial blueprint, and really uncovering those money values through some questionnaires. Yeah. And week three, we're going to then look at your purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? Maybe you're not in your purpose. I actually, here's a quick story. In the original group, which Kylie was a part of, week three, one of the people that came along to that, after week three, where I went through purpose, which is your why do you do what you do? And I found that incredibly powerful when I went through that. And then we go through doing your adult values and then goals. So what's your purpose? Why do you do what you do? What are your values? How does that all fit in? And does it tie in with your goals? So we start setting some goals, because goals that are linked to values, as I mentioned before, values are incredibly powerful, are real goals. They won't be superficial. And when the going gets tough, you won't want to give up on them, because they will be so in tune and aligned with who you are. See, superficial goals are goals where you think you should be doing, or you think you should be having, or you think you should be, you know, the comparison thing that goes on. That's very destructive, and it's really nice to treat yourself like that with the comparison piece. No one should compare themselves to anyone else. We all have our own journey, we all have our own capacity, and we're all individuals. And we talk about being in a society of individualism, if you like, and then we go and compare ourselves to other people. I mean, you know, one doesn't tie with the other. But going back to the story, so after this week, the following week, I said, in the break, I said, how's it going? How's everything going? And she said to me, well, I quit my job. And I went, oh my God. And I thought, because it was the first time I'd launched the program, and I thought to myself, what have I done? What have I done? And so the long and short of it is, she realised after doing this week 3 that she wasn't aligned with her why and her purpose with her current employer. She then went on to another employer, and then from there she set up her own business. And 3.5 years, or maybe it's 4.5 years now, going into her own business, she's kicking major goals on her own, doing her thing. And it was because of this program that it led her down that path. Incredibly powerful, but I was so scared at the time that I'd done something to set her on a tangent. But you know, you don't know what to expect. So incredibly powerful to set goals that are directly linked with your values and understanding your purpose of why you do what you do. Because when you do that, when you have that, I don't know, it's this sense of ease, it's this sense of calm, it's this sense of, oh, I know why I'm doing what I'm doing now. There's no other question around it. There's no one can talk you out of it. You can't get swayed anymore. There's no more swaying. There's just absolution in it. And finally, week 4, after doing all of that work, where are you now financially? We do a reality check. Another lot of questionnaires, and having a look at your 1-page personal balance sheet, which means assets, liabilities. What does it look like? Let's get real, yeah? Let's get all over it. And it's only until then that you go, oh, okay, so here I am. This is who I am. This is what I want. This is why I want it. Here's where I come from. Here's my adult values. Here's why I do what I do. And here's my goals. How am I going to reach those goals? Let me see where I am financially. Let me see what the starting point is to then be able to make a decision. And it's only then that you'll know, oh, not bad. Bit of work to do, or yeah, everyone's got a bit of work to do, but I'm not too bad. Or, holy shit, excuse the French, I am so needing help. I'm so out of whack. I seriously need to do something. And you can't do that without doing the reality check. And the reality check, again, you know, uncomfortable, maybe, absolute, yes, of course it is. Because if you don't know where you are, how do you know how much work you've got to do? How do you know what to do next if you don't know where you are today? So that's how the 4 weeks will run. That is pillar number 1 out of the whole pillar. So I thought I'd pilot it live. If you're interested, let me know by the end of the day, because I thought, why not offer a bonus to the people that are here today? You're on the call. So I thought I'd throw in a personal mentoring session with Tracey. Now, my mentoring sessions are not, I don't give them away often, and I do personal mentoring with a small number of clients. So there's a lot of value in there. That will help you get clarity around who you are, and also offering you the opportunity to be able to get the wealth portal. It's a personal wealth portal. It's an app on your phone which stores absolutely everything. Title deeds to your home, to your investment properties, share portfolios, even your wills. So it's like the central hub of everything you've got from your financial point of view, that you won't need that filing cabinet for anymore. So anyone wants to know anything, if anything was to happen, it's sitting on your phone as an app, bang, it's there. Your bank accounts can get linked directly with your bank so you can track your spending. That's the most powerful part of this app. Incredibly powerful. Lists your assets, liabilities, everything. So it links to your bank, all the transactions are downloaded, and it helps you not have to do the manual cash flow analysis. Anyone that knows me knows I don't actually like the word budget. Nobody likes the word budget, let's face it. Cash flow analysis, what's coming in, what's going out. That's all we want to know. Why do we want to know? Well, if there's more going out than coming in, we're in trouble. We're obviously living on debt, and something's got to happen very quickly. If we've got a surplus, what are we doing with it? Why aren't we investing it? Why aren't we looking at ways of debt reduction, investing, super? What is it? What do we need to do with that money? And what do we need to do with it right now? Because time is your best friend. The sooner you start, the better the end result. And really, it's that simple. I'm going to leave it there. There's the book. Follow me on the social media. I'm going to go into, I'm sorry that I haven't been so good with all of the chats and all that sort of stuff. I just need to get onto the chat if I can find it in there. But yeah, if you've all obviously got my email, and I'm just moving this across, and just bear with me, moving this across. I'm trying to find my chat here if I can. I was in it before. I might just stop the sharing help? Yeah, good question. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Money Girl doesn't even put the money in there. Okay, so the program is $19.97 normally, $1,997. Today, I'm offering it as part of this group, $9.97. That's inclusive of GST. If you pay it up front, it is $9.97. And look, normally it's a lot more if you pay it on a monthly basis, but I'm open to suggestions given the group that I've got here, and if you're interested in following that forward. So just reading that, what does it cost the program, please? How long is the offer open? Look, what's today? If you can let me know by Friday, I know I said today, but you know, what's today? Wednesday. If you can let me know by Friday and I know who's been on the call, that would be fantastic, and we can pilot this and we can move forward, and then you can see. I did break it up. When I first offered this program, it was the 8 weeks, as Kylie would know, and I did everything. But as it's evolved over the years, it actually needs to be separated, and each pillar needs more work and more detail and more holding your hand and tools and tips, and needs more time and interaction for everyone to get more out of it. That's what I've found over the last 5 years. So yeah, it's incredibly powerful, and it'll just be live, and we'll meet once a week. So
Tracey, I have a question about the program. Did you say it starts in August?
yes.
Okay. What's the time commitment required? Because I'm actually heading into uni exams in August.
Are you? When are your exams?
They're towards the end of August, but I take a few weeks off work to cram.
Yeah,
So
I understand. That's what, I was good at uni, but my postgraduate, I used to cram when I did my CPA. Look, I haven't set a date in August. I put their commencing in August. If this group decides that September's better for them, I'm quite open to that. That's not a problem. I hadn't set a date. As I say, I kind of just thought about it last night and thought I'd pilot it with the group and see how that goes. Can you all let me know whether an evening is better than a daytime? Is this better at a 12 o'clock than an evening? How do you all feel about, because doing it at this time would be more suitable to me as well, but I was just trying to make sure I could accommodate everyone. Can you all just pop in the chat whether what your preference would be?
my preference would be during the day. I found with live Zoom meetings and things like that for uni, that once it hits 6 o'clock and later, when everyone's jumping on Netflix around where you live, the bandwidth of the internet starts to play up.
Yep. And there's the other thing with kids, and if you've got kids, and meal times and all that sort of stuff. So because it's a pilot and I haven't done it in the evenings before, I wasn't too sure. I would love to do it during the day for myself. I'm just reading the chats. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so Michelle and Jessie are daytime. If anyone else is interested in doing so maybe a daytime at 12 o'clock would be quite suitable to people. That would be great. Thank you, Heather. So Heather says, thank you so much, Tracey. You have reminded me of lots of points from when I completed your course. I have another meeting starting. Thank you, Heather, for attending. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Michelle. All right, I'll take that on board. Thank you. Jessie, that's great. So would it still suit you in August around that time for an hour?
It would depend. So early August would be fine, because I could just put, lunch break sort of thing.
Yep.
In between studying.
Yep.
But I think it's the last week of August and the first week of September that the actual exams are on. So then it would be dependent on which day, how much cramming I still need to do.
Yeah. Well, if I look at the calendar here, it would be really easy to start on, say, the 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, which would take us to the 26th if that was once a week. Is that something that would suit you as well, Michelle? Yep. Oh,
so I'm just looking at my last exam's on the 9th of September.
Okay. So would that work for you?
If it was a little bit later.
Let me just respond to this one. All right, he's gone. Okay, so I will. Oh, okay. August or September, fine for me. Yes. 3 dates, 5th. Oh, good. Thanks, Michelle. That's great. So sorry, Jess, there's 5th to the 26th?
Yeah, so it would for the starting point, my last exam's on the 9th of September. So if it was on like the Saturday, yeah, I probably wouldn't commit to anything until after exams were finished.
Yeah.
Knowing if I had a bad day or something like that, because I think 2 of my exams are one after the other, like one day after the other. So I'll be.
Okay. So your exams are when? The 9th?
So I have an exam on the 8th.
Oh, yeah. So that's the 2 weeks after, though. So we'd be finishing 6th of August.
Yeah. So that means that I'd still be doing my exams halfway through.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, it's a bit hard to organise everyone's. Well, Michelle, I suppose, are you open to looking at it in September? Let me just have a look. When's your last exam, Jessie?
The 9th of September.
9th. We could do it on a Thursday. We could start it on
the 10th.
Oh, hang on. The 10th, I've got masterclass. I'm doing something with a group of people as well. I can't do it on that day, but we could start it on the 16th. The only thing is the 30th I can't do.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the same day, week on week.
No, it doesn't. Are you both open for it to start, I don't know, even if we just pick the 16th, then we could just go from there?
Yeah.
So that would work for you, 4 weeks in a row? Yeah? Michelle, would that work for you? Yep. Okay, great. I will email you both further details. I haven't thought about it again. Okay, so I'll just email you. Do you want to check dates now, or do you want to just go with the flow?
Probably best to go with the flow.
Yeah, because I can do the 16th, I can do the 23rd, I can't do the 30th, but I potentially, and look, it might be worth giving 1 week break, like just in between for digesting. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah.
And then we could do.
Yeah, time for digestion is also fine.
It is, isn't it? So
Yeah.
if I write that down, time for digestion is really good, I believe. But if you feel you don't need it, then we'll change it as we go. So if we started on the 16th, and then we did the 23rd, and then we did the 7th, and then the 14th. How would that work?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll put all this in writing. And are you both happy with the 12 o'clock?
Yeah.
90 minutes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, beautiful. 16th, 23rd of September, 7th and 14th. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and 7th and 14th of October, 12 to 1:30. Do you both mind email? You got my email?
Yes.
emailing me your addresses so I can mail out the book
Oh,
prior?
I have the book already.
All right. Well, you get another one. Do you want another one and gift it?
Okay.
I have friends who I've been talking to about reading the book that was good, so I can certainly gift it to someone.
Well, you're paying for it. Yeah, so I'll send it anyway. Yeah, just if you don't mind emailing me your mailing address, and I'll send out the book prior so you can have a good look and all that sort of stuff. You just gift it, Michelle,
Sure.
and we will go from there. And I'll just what sort of payment arrangement would you like? Would you like to just pay weekly? How would you like to do that?
Tracey, for me, I would prefer to pay up front, and I would expense it to my company.
Yep, which you can
So,
claim, definitely.
yeah.
Yep,
Expense it
okay.
to the company.
And for me, I prefer payment.
Yep. And are you okay with monthly?
Yeah, payment monthly is fine.
Yep. I just got to check. Yep. Okay. I'm just making these notes. Bear with me. Monthly, yes. And then what we'll do also, we will book in your one-on-one mentoring with me. Once we start week 1, we'll have a look at the diary, and we'll book those in. So you'll also, but you can do that at any time. You might want to do it at the end. Do you think you might want to do it at the beginning? I think at the end might be better after you've gone through it.
Yeah.
For me, I think the end. Given that I'm talking to you next week for half an hour.
Yep.
Regarding certain matters, and then it will be a helpful catch up at the end of the course.
I think that would be good too. Yeah, definitely. And remember, throughout the program, you can access me anytime. Just shoot me an email.
Right.
Yeah. And I've just got to go and set up that Facebook page. Are you both on Facebook?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get that sorted as well. Okay. Lovely. How did you find the session today?
I find all the value stuff and trying to think about the past and whatnot very difficult. I always just go blank.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one. When I had to go back and do that, it was almost like, oh, I can't remember. I don't know. Like, this was me, because I did all of those things. And I'm like, oh. And then so what I suggest you do, we're going to go through it in the program, so don't worry about it now. So I've sort of preempted it. We're going to do it again. We're going to do some more detail. But what I suggest you do is almost create some meditation space. Like, you've like in this, you're time deprived, right? I'm going on, I'm talking and all this sort of stuff. But when you actually do this for yourself, you need to set at least an hour aside, no interruptions, and you need to sit in a quiet space, and you've got to not allow yourself to, wander off, and make yourself think about it, and just almost meditation like, just go back. Just shut your eyes and go back and try and remember stuff. And you know how when you start going back and trying to remember stuff, one thing leads to the other. It's like, like I'm doing it now, trying to remember my childhood in that house, and then when we lived there, and I'm older. You guys won't remember. Back in the 70s, we lived in Melbourne. And when I was younger, and back in the 70s, there was these Miller shirts. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. The brand was Miller. It's still around, I think, like a jean shop. And there were these Miller shirts that my sister and I were dying to have. And everyone had these Miller shirts. Well, not everyone, because they were really, really expensive. And that was a memory that I had, like getting that, and how happy we were. And my sister bought it for us. And it was all this sort of stuff. And then one time, Dad took us down to the city, and we went into Myer and gave us, I think it might have been $20. And he said, right, there you go, you're in control of it. And we'd go and look at stuff and go, that's a bit expensive, as opposed to, Dad, can you buy it for me? Like, because you got the 20, and you're almost going, oh, well, if I spent 15 on that, that's a lot of money. Like, do I really want to spend all my money on that one thing, or do I just want to, you know, that feeling of how far do I stretch it? How much do I really want it? All that sort of stuff. And then, yeah, remembering when the differences between my mum and my dad, like all that stuff, like it'll just come out. But you've got to allow yourself, you've got to do yourself a favour, allow yourself to get in that space. And, yeah, you've got to force yourself to do it. It'll come. It'll come. And, you know, if it doesn't come the first time, it'll come the second time. But it'll come. And it's incredibly valuable. It's incredibly powerful to own it. Like, I'm not really it took me a long time to actually share this with everyone, because I never did. I thought, if everyone thinks that that's what I was doing, they're never going to listen to me as the money expert. But then I realised if I didn't share the story, I wouldn't be able to help anyone. You know, no one's perfect. Just because I come from that doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. And doesn't mean, well, then I should probably share the story. Yeah, I should probably share the story of the wealth we've created now and where I am today. It's unimaginable. So, yeah.
For me, it's about the question about what do I want? I had particular dreams when I was a young child, and I've been able to fulfill them in terms of going to Cambridge, living overseas and traveling. And now I've gotten to a point in my life where I really don't know what comes next in the story, because when I was younger, I imagined a certain part in the story, and I don't know what comes next in the story. Yes, I'd still like to get married. That's something that I'd like to do. Whether that involves adopting children, yep, be up for that. But I don't know where, don't know how. I don't have particular aspirations to be the CEO of a company. That doesn't quite fit with my personality. Yeah, so I've got to figure out where next in the story.
Yeah, and it doesn't always mean it's about your career or your work. It's about you in its totality as a person. So you need to dream a little.
Yes.
You need to allow yourself to dream a little. You need to give yourself permission to do that. Just, you know, sometimes the reality thing's got to be chucked out the window, and just it's like that question that they ask, if you weren't scared, what would you do? Like, if nothing got in the way, if money, fear, no one, judgment, your little voice talking away, you know, the tape recorder we all have, get rid of it if it's not serving you. If it's a good one, keep it.
Yeah.
If it's a good one, keep it. But if it's not serving you, get rid of it. Update to a CD or something. I don't know. I call it a tape recording because, again, it shows my age, right?
No, I grew up with tapes.
Tape recording. And I say that because I have my dad's tape recording here, and I love it because I tap into it all of the time, because he said, there's nothing you can't do. You can do anything. You are amazing. And I'm like, yep. And when I hit things, brick walls, and I think, okay, Dad told me I could do this. My dad knows me better than anyone.
Oh, that's lovely.
Dad knows that, so so, we can choose, as hard as it is. And I've got to admit, I'm not really the one to talk to with the bad recordings, because I don't really have it.
Okay.
So I understand that there's got to be a lot of emotional baggage that goes with that, and I feel for that. Yeah. And I'm not sure how easy it is just to get rid of it. I don't know. But I know that we ultimately control what we want in our lives and what we don't. We've just got to show the courage to go, yeah, I know you're there, but you know what? I don't agree with you. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for your time, ladies.
Thank you, Jessie.
Any questions before I go?
Jessie? No.
Jess?
No, I'm good.
I'm glad you came, Jess.
So am I.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, ladies. Enjoy your day. I'll email you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.